100%. And I talk with my wife all the time. I'm like, okay, what are we going to do? Okay, we're not going to be able to own a dairy farm and do this,
Mhm.
but we got to figure out other ways to, teach our kids how to stay busy and learn skills and how to work hard. And
Yep.
because, like you said, right now it's just scrolling
Mhm.
on the phone, and it seems like that's luckily right now my kids are little, the one little boy that just turned 3, and I have a 1-year-old. So, but I know
Mhm.
at some point I'm going to be in your shoes, and I'm going to have to figure out, how to keep my kids busy and make sure they're learning how to work and staying off computers
Yeah.
and screens. So, and
Yeah,
I know it'll be a challenge.
it's a full-time job, as a parent. What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Red.Beard Outdoors podcast. I'm Jonathan, your host, and here at Red.Beard Outdoors, I talk about faith, family, fitness, and the outdoors as I'm on a journey myself to better myself as a dad, as a husband, as a better version of me, to be able to give back to those around me. And I feel extremely blessed. I really appreciate you guys as the audience, as people that tune in and support the show, whether it be with your time, views, reviews, subscriptions to the YouTube channel, etc. Thank you so much, guys. I want to constantly be able to give back to you, provide value to you in your life, as I am also on that journey of getting better. So, with that being said, today is Saturday. We've got the hour to hour and a half long podcast. The full length episode is what we'll call it, where I get to bring a guest on that is either an expert in their field, has done some amazing things, has an awesome story. In this case, we have Aaron Van Woerkom, who is part of the Muley Freak brothers. He does an amazing job with the marketing. He loves getting out there and getting after everything from bears to muleys to elk and everything in between, guys. They have some amazing adventures. I'm really excited to bring Aaron on. He is just an awesome guy. He's a dad. He loves to hunt. He is very humble, but they have accomplished some amazing things over there, guys. So I highly recommend you stay tuned for this episode. Drop any comments, questions, anything like that down below. And of course, if you like this video, leave a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Highly appreciate that, guys. Thank you so much. If you're listening to the audio only version, please follow wherever it is, Spotify, Apple Podcast, and leave a review. It's free. It helps way more than you know to get the podcast out to other people. And again, I appreciate you guys so much. So with that being said, let's get into this conversation with Aaron Van Woerkom and the Muley Freak brothers. What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Red.Beard Outdoors podcast. I'm Jonathan, your host, and today we have an amazing guest. We've got Aaron Van Woerkom. He is the marketing director over at Muley Freak. You guys have heard of Muley Freak, you know the brand. They've got some awesome stuff coming out as well. But Aaron just absolutely loves getting after it. He's got a family. He's just constantly trying to improve and help market the company better and also grow himself in his personal life and go on as many adventures as possible. So all of those things are pretty awesome. And I wanted to bring Aaron on to discuss a bunch of those different topics today. But for people that don't know who you are, Aaron, who are you, man?
How's it going, man? Thanks for having me on. Um, who am I? I'm family man first, father, husband, and absolutely love my family and grateful for them. Um, and then yeah, I just love to hunt and get after it. So and in the meantime, I do all the help with all the marketing at Muley Freak, and so I love to learn and grow in that space and in my knowledge with that as well. So yeah, little those are a few things about me. I grew up on a dairy farm in far west Utah, which is north of Ogden, and so by 5, 6 years old, I was riding over on the four-wheeler with my brother Eric, to go milk cows and helping my uncles and grandpa on the farm. So grew up on doing everything on the farm, hauling hay, milking cows, showing pigs, selling pigs. And I did that pretty much my whole, growing up, kid life and young adult life. It was awesome. Great way to
Oh yeah.
live and grow up.
Oh yeah, for sure. Having those outdoors chores and things that you got going on, that's definitely something that that's important. I couldn't agree with you more.
Yep. I was always working on something, doing something,
Hmm.
whether my grandpa would call me, hey, let's go haul hay, let's go furrow corn, let's go do this, let's go do that. So there was never downtime.
Yeah, yeah, no, for sure. That's awesome. And I think that's something that's missing nowadays. There's so many things like there's such good for, to technology and things like, you mentioned working on a farm, etc. Like I think, and I don't know a lot of farmers, but from what I've understood, most farmers would agree that daylight savings time can be done away with because you've got technology now that you can work in the dark, which was the main reason why daylight savings was a thing. So that the farmers who are really the people that take care of our country. I think they get forgotten a lot of times. It's a very similar aspect to like the military, where people just they appreciate what they do, but they don't think about it enough. Like people think they just go to the grocery store and their stuff magically appears. They think that they could just have beef and whatever available whenever, and that's not really the case if it wasn't for the farmers and all the truck drivers that drive to and fro hauling all of this stuff. Like again, it just you don't just teleport the stuff, like it's got to get there. And so that's going back to technology and not having any downtime. uh it's a big deal, especially for kids nowadays, to try and keep them off of screens, because even school, like my son who's 9 got a laptop last year, a laptop from school.
That's
And I'm like,
crazy.
dude, I didn't even get a laptop till college. Are you kidding me right now? Like my 8 and 9-year-old have a laptop from school. And then younger than that, my 7-year-old, once you hit full day of school, which is first grade, they got a iPad. And I'm like, what? Like, this is
That's
this is
insane.
crazy, right? And so that's been a struggle in of itself, because we've got things that we do with our iPads from home that we don't allow. Like it's called screen time for people that know the Apple system. You have to earn your screen time. Well, sometimes I'll find Asher, because I can't monitor the laptop. He can go on YouTube, and we don't have full access to the internet through our iPads at home. So I've had a little bit of a back and forth with the school, because like there's some good things to it where you can go in and learn how to type at a young age and move into that technology era. But at the same time, like he's got access to things that I don't want him to have access to. So it's kind of a give and take with that. But yeah, no downtime is definitely probably good for you as a kid, going back to that point.
100%. And I talk with my wife all the time. I'm like, okay, what are we gonna do? Okay, we're not gonna be able to own a dairy farm and do this,
Mhm.
but we got to figure out other ways to, you know, teach our kids how to stay busy and, learn skills and how to work hard. And
Yeah.
because, like you said, right now it's just scrolling
Mhm.
on the phone, and it seems like that's luckily right now my kids are little, so I have a one little boy that just turned 3, and I have a 1-year-old. So, but I know
Mhm.
it, at some point I'm going to be in your shoes, and I'm going to have to figure out, how to keep my kids busy, and make sure they're learning how to work and staying off computers and
Yeah.
screens. So, and
Yeah,
I know
it's
it'll be a
it's a
challenge.
it's a full-time job, as a parent. And then living in Utah, you'll find this out too, that there's the days that, like, what was it? Monday and Tuesday of last week were just teacher work days. Just Monday, Tuesday, kids didn't go to school for no reason other than, a teacher work day. I'm like, if I didn't work from home, one of us would have to take the day off, or like it's like they expect, a parent to be home. And I've got family and friends that both parents work, and they struggle with that.
Oh, that's
Fridays
tough.
are early out. You get done at 1:45 instead of the normal 3:45. That's only half a workday. What do you do with the other half of the workday? And so that's been a thing too of our kids are not lacking for Legos and outdoors toys and stuff. So I'm just like, you know what? Go figure it out. I've still got 4 hours to work. So you guys, as long as no one's bleeding, and if you're hungry, like come tell me. Other than that, go have at it. Have fun. Go invite your neighbors over. Go do whatever you need to do. Figure it out though. Get creative. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And that
But
and that's one thing I love about hunting is it's like I love the weekly report that comes back after a nice long hunt, and it's like your screen time has been down 95%.
mhm.
But it's awesome. That's like one of the reasons I love hunting is unplugging, getting off the screen, and it's I love it.
Exactly.
One of my favorite
Exactly. So
aspects of hunting.
Yeah, no, for sure. So let's hit on a few things here. You reminded me beforehand that you've served a mission. So for people that most people listening to this podcast know, I'm LDS or Latter Day Saint, which is Mormon, as most people may know, and I served a mission in Mexico, and that's something I've been trying to incorporate a lot more into the podcast lately. Is just the faith aspect of things, because I feel like that's a huge thing that is lacking nowadays, and there's cause for so many, or there's a lot of reasons why that is, but I just want to talk a little bit about that. So when you were growing up, you grew up in Utah?
Yes, Ogden, Utah.
Okay.
Yep.
So how was it? Because I grew up in North Carolina, so it's a little bit different culture as far as the religion's concerned. But did you feel like a mission was forced on you, or did you feel like it was a choice that you were able to make, and you were excited to go and serve?
Yeah, not at all. And and I'm sure that happens, but like my dad, my grandparents, they were really good that way. I I don't remember them ever asking or saying that specifically, like, are you getting ready? Are you doing
Mm,
this? Are you gonna go on one? And I don't remember ever being asked that. And so, once I got a little bit older, 17, 18, I'm like, oh, this is an option for me. Um, and so then I got to decide if I want to do it. But not
hmm
once can I ever remember someone in my family, saying or pressuring me to do so. So
right.
obviously
Well,
I
that's
had a
good.
lot of, I had brothers go on missions. I had uncles. My mom and dad both served missions. And so I knew about them, and
Yeah.
I had a lot of information about them. But yeah, not once did I ever feel like I was forced.
Good. Yeah, and I've heard, it's not very often, but mainly when I was on my mission is when I heard people saying that they had been pressured or bribed even into going. Like their parents bought them a car if they would go, stuff like that. And to me, I'm like, well, why'd you even like why did you come out here then? So that's awesome to hear, because again, coming from Utah, where it is a lot more. Uh, I mean, there's a high concentration of LDS members of the church here in Utah. It's good to hear that that was the same scenario that I had, where it was just kind of like, it was encouraged, it was talked about, but it wasn't like, if you don't go, we're going to disown you or anything like that. Right.
Right.
Um, so that's cool. So you ended up going to Iowa, right?
Yeah. So I got a call to the Iowa Des Moines mission, and I was like, what in the world is this French? Am I going to France? When I first read it, and then I read it again. I'm like, Iowa, and I was pretty disappointed because my brother Eric went to Sweden.
Mm,
Um, my brother Ryan went to Germany. My brother-in-law Brent, he went to the Philippines, and my mom and dad were both stateside, Ohio and Virginia. But I had uncles in Italy and Japan and Brazil, and so like I was like, gosh, I'd really like to go there, and
yeah.
ended up in Iowa, and ended up absolutely loving it. A little disappointed at first, and by the end, I was like, man, that's exactly where I needed to go, and I absolutely loved it.
Oh, that's awesome. So you're going to start Whitetail Freak. Is that
Yeah, that's right.
what?
And I have people I met there in Iowa and Illinois reach out to me every single year. Hey, do you want to come out hunting? Because they follow Muley Freak, and hey, it's an open invitation still. And so the tricky thing about Iowa though is you have to buy the license every year.
Mm,
You have to pay for a point, and then it's kind of expensive, and then it takes a little while to draw. And so uh, Iowa has really quality whitetail bucks, and so it takes a while to draw. And
yeah.
so anyway, I just haven't put in yet. Illinois is a lot easier to go, and I've had the opportunity to go a couple times if I wanted, but you only get so much time every year to go, especially with a family and other responsibilities at home. So I can't just go on everything I want to, even though I wish I
Exactly.
could.
Exactly. No, I definitely hear you on that. That's it's not always a matter of if you want to go. And I'm sure you get a lot of invitations, and I've started to get to that point where it's like, I keep getting invited to things, and I'm like, I want to. It's not a matter of if I want to or not. It's a matter of can I, and it's not even sometimes the can you afford it, is can you time wise afford it?
Yep.
You know, because there's so much stuff going on, and you're juggling the same thing where you've got family with little kids, you're married, you've got, you know, the family life, and then you've got this job, which, you know, it's not a steady 9 to 5. Like people that don't
Right.
understand working, like your brother started Muley Freak and you're working at Muley Freak full time. Like that's not an easy thing to do. You know, to not know, you know, have even the benefits, or I don't know how things work there, obviously, but like as an entrepreneur, most of the time you're giving up the steady 9 to 5, you're giving up benefits, and you're giving up the opportunity to hand off the responsibilities at the end of the day when you clock out. Like in my 9 to 5, when I leave there, like I ain't worrying about nothing until the next morning, you know, from that job. Whereas it's a little bit different when you own your own business. So, kind of going back to your mission. So, Eric started Muley Freak while you're on your mission, and then you come back. How do you feel like that serving your mission in Iowa, even though it may not have been the destination mission like you were hoping for, I'm sure you learned a lot, and it changed your trajectory in life because of that. And so, kind of talk us through like how did that change things for you?
Yeah. So there's a lot of aspects from my mission that translated to where I'm at today, and to the success that I've had, and the happiness and joy. So, I mean, one thing is, you know, when you go on a mission, it's, I mean, similar to the military in that there's structure. So obviously very different, but there's structure to it. So you're supposed to wake up at 6:30 a.m. every morning. You're supposed to study for 2 to 3 hours every single day, and then the rest of the time is you're going out and teaching people about Jesus Christ, or serving people, or and you set goals every single day and you try to accomplish those goals. And so all those things translate into today. Like I had the choice on my mission to sleep until 8 if I wanted to. No one was forcing me to wake up at 6 a.m. No one was forcing me to study for 2 to 3 hours a day. No one was forcing me to going out and working and helping others and serving. And so, you know, all those things that I learned on my mission translated over to where I'm at today. And, you know, I first went out, I started working for a physical therapist when I got home from my mission. Really enjoyed that. Realized that's not what I want to do my whole life, but really enjoyed it. Number two, I went out and
Wait,
sold
I'm going
pest
to pause you
control.
there because I want to hear this story. What made you, just kind of a brief, what made you decide that that's not what you wanted to do? Because I went down the same route. I was heading towards DPT, and I had a few things that like were like nope, and completely changed the way I was going. So what was the deciding factor in that for you?
For me, it was, so I absolutely loved the physical therapist I worked for. He was awesome, but he worked for a company. And so I saw there were things he wanted to do that he couldn't do, and there were things he didn't agree with, um, that they made him do. And so it was that, you know, now he could have broke off, right, and went and started his own, but that would have been, you know, difficult given, you know, how much debt you go in, you know, to be a
Mm-hmm.
physical therapist, and it takes time to build up a clientele and all
Mm-hmm.
these things. And so it makes a lot of sense to go work for a company, but then you're bound to what they have you do, right? So,
Exactly.
and that was kind of for me, I was like, man, he has, even being the head physical therapist for this clinic, like he doesn't even get to do what he wants, you know what I mean? He doesn't get to
So
have the
for
freedom that he wants.
Yeah, I was just going to say for people that don't know much about that realm, now it's a 3 year. It used to be a 2 year, and even before that, it was just a double bachelor's. But then it became a master's, and now it's technically a clinical doctorate of 3 years. Those 3 years are going to cost you around 100 to 120 grand
Yep.
if you don't go to like an Ivy League school, just a regular public school. And then you come out. If you come back to Utah, you're making around 60 grand.
Yep.
That's kind of average to start. So you're in the hole over 100 grand just from schooling. That's not, you know, all the everything else that comes along in those couple years that you're in school with the car and everything else that you may need. Um, and then on top of that, if you do want to break off, like what you were saying, you need to know someone on the board at Intermountain because
Yeah.
they're not going to let you just become a provider for no reason. And they're kind of the monopoly of the mid or the West right now as far as you know, providers go and insurance and all of that. So it's a cutthroat thing, and it's hard to just break away, like what you were saying, if you don't like to do something that a group or a business that you're in is wanting to do.
Yeah. It just, and for me, all those things it didn't add up for me. I'm like, that it doesn't make sense,
Yeah.
especially if you want to have your own freedom and do the things that you think are best for your business, your
Mhm.
clientele, and it's like you still don't have a say. And on top of that, all that debt, for me, it didn't make sense.
Exactly. And then you'd have to compete against people like, Preston Ward. Mount Physio, stuff like that. Like he's a,
Yep.
but it really is. It's a difficult, it sucks because it's such a good and necessary part of, it's an actual, what I would consider part of the actual healthcare system.
Yes.
Not the phrase that's been tossed around now, the sick care system, because there's a lot of things about it that want you to stay sick because that's how they generate their money. But physical therapists, they genuinely do a lot of good work. And I feel like there's a lot of opportunity to do more, even so preventative care, rather than just fixing people after surgeries and after injuries, but even more so pre that, and the preventative care. Physical therapists could do a lot of good for that. So anyway, sorry, that was a side tangent. I just find it interesting that you came back from your mission and we're heading down that same route that I was, and wanted to see what your thoughts were on that and why you didn't go that way. But it makes complete sense.
Yeah, but I loved every second that I did work there, and I learned a lot, and there's still aspects I learned from him, preventative care, that I still use today, a lot of band work and different things. So then I sold pest control for a summer, and I was like, this is not for me. I did really well, and I worked really hard. Again, the same thing. I'm like, I can work as much as I want in a day. I did like that aspect, but there were still, things I didn't like and restrictions. And then I was like, gosh. And then Eric's like,
I think
man, you should.
the church just needs to buy a pest control company, because
I know,
it's
huh?
funny how many missionaries come home and they do that.
And it's kind of funny. Like, I was like, man, that was really good for me after the summer was over. And I'm like, I'm
Mhm.
I'm really glad I did that, because I know,
Yeah.
number one, I don't want to do it, and number two, I gained some more, confidence with communicating and talking with
Mhm.
people, and just different business aspects. But
Right, not just about religion, because like as a missionary, which again, people that have heard my podcast before know a little bit about this, but you're knocking doors and looking to serve people in whatever language, whatever culture you're living in. Which going from Utah to Iowa is still a culture shock. It's very different. You have to learn those people. You have to learn what they enjoy, their foods, their activity level, things like that. It's all, whether you're in the U.S. or not, it's all a new learning scenario, and you just go out with the aim to serve, but you are knocking doors pretty much all day if you don't have appointments lined up to meet with people in their home. And so but the main focus of that is service and talking to them about Jesus Christ. And so like what you were saying with the pest control, it's similar in the aspect of knocking doors, but that's about where it ends, because then you're talking about a whole nother thing. You're trying to sell them. You're finding their needs as far as, pest control, what they're experiencing, etc., and not trying to be too pushy, but not trying to be too defensive either. You want to find
yep.
that middle ground. There's a lot that you can learn from door-to-door sales for sure.
Yeah, and I wasn't passionate about it, and I think that's where it came down to. I'm like, I enjoyed it. I recruited 5 or 6 guys for them, who ended up working there for quite a while after, and but I wasn't passionate about door-to-door sales or pest control, and so I was like, this, it's not gonna last. So,
Yeah.
and that's where, Eric's like, hey, like, this is kind of cool. We're doing something. In 2012, Facebook came out, and Eric had a lot of fun learning it, and he got really good at it and started working for a few companies outside of the hunting industry with marketing, and he got a knack for it. And by 2014, he had something cool going on. We didn't know exactly what it was, but I'm like, man, this would be fun. I love hunting, um and I was like, man, yeah, this would be cool. So starting in 2014, I hopped on and started helping Eric. And the first, few years was kind of, we worked as a marketing firm, and we were helping other companies build up, their their companies and run their marketing. And it's like a couple years ago, we're like, man, we're doing this for everyone else. We need to, if we're ever going to have Muley Freak grow, we need to quit doing that and focus on us. And so a couple years ago, we just dropped all our clients and we've been going all in with Muley Freak.
So talk to us a little bit about that too, going in, because I'm always interested in learning, because I still have my 9 to 5. I've got, the main reason being I've got a family, and otherwise, I'd love to just jump all in on this. But when you have a family, that you're supporting, that you're taking care of, and were you married at the time when you dropped all those clients and moved full bore into Muley Freak? Okay.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
so you had a family. Did you have kids?
Yeah, probably one. Yeah, one kid.
So you have two other
with one
human
on the
beings that are
way.
depending, two other human beings that are depending on you, right? And there's a lot of medical that goes into little kids, and of course, having a family in general, you want to have that whatever you can fall back on, knowing that you can take them to the doctor when needed, or to the dentist, or those things that we take for granted sometimes. Talk us through that process of being okay dropping your paying clients that are consistent and doing their part in getting you the paychecks, as long as you're doing your part with the work, and going all in on this gamble on yourself and your brother with Muley Freak. Talk to us about that transition and kind of the steps that you went through when you started even brainstorming that and talking about moving to full-time Muley Freak, and then the aspect of you and your brother, and also your family, how that discussion happened with your wife.
Yeah, so I think I'll kind of start where, when we made that decision, I think we had the confidence, we saw what we did for companies over the prior, 3, 4, 5 years, however long it was. And so we had confidence we could do it, that we could build something good. And, we had already on the side, we'd been maintaining Muley Freak and trying to grow it how we could. And, with the little effort we had put into it, we were still having success. And so with the confidence that, we could do what we'd been doing for ourselves, because we have proof, right? We have 3, 4, 5 years of proof. Eric and I are like, man, we can do this. We can build Muley Freak. And one thing, I have a lot of confidence in Eric. He's one of the hardest workers that I've ever met, besides maybe my grandpa. And so, you got to have confidence in who you're working with. And Eric's an extremely hard worker. And, knowing that, and knowing what we'd done in the past, I knew we could put it together and make it happen. So, you talked about my wife. She's awesome. And we have conversations, every single day about, how things are going, what direction we're going. And this is, going back to, my mission. And, you learn how to communicate. Hey, what's wrong? What's going on? What can I do to be better? Those are skills you learn there, and have translated, to my marriage. And my wife's a really good communicator too. And so just constantly talking, each day on how I'm feeling about where we're at and where we're going. And, it makes it easy to say, hey, this is what we're doing. We're getting rid of clients. This is the plan. This is how I feel about it. And then, she has confidence in me that I'm going to make the right decisions too. And, everything that we do is tied back to, faith in God. And so, when you're, doing your best, and you're going all in, we call that grace, right? You do everything you can, and then he kind of takes care of the rest, and makes sure that you're okay, that you're taken care of, that you succeed. And so with every, I take that into everything that I do, that if I'm going to work hard and do what's right, he's going to make sure that, I'm happy, successful, and I'm taken care of if I'm doing the right things. So
I love it. That's awesome. And, I like to highlight those things for people that are maybe looking at jumping ship of their 9 to 5 and going full bore and trusting in their self. I 100% wholeheartedly support that, if you have proven to yourself, and then if you're married, to your spouse, and then, obviously being willing to take care of your kids, that is something that you can do. And I love that you said, you know, it was 3 years of proof, 3 years that we could do this before we even said we're going to do it, right? Instead of just saying, hey, this is pretty cool, and going through the honeymoon phase and saying, all right, well, I'm quitting my 9 to 5 so I can do this cool thing where I get to go hunt and film and make hunting gear. You know, like you guys built up, it took years for you to show that experience to your spouses and to yourself and to each other, that you could actually do it. So that's just something that I always like to point out to people, because it's not just hey, I got to quit, or that overnight success. There's another guy that I know that his account's currently blowing up on Instagram, just consistently just going way up. And you know, I reached out to him and just said, hey dude, that's awesome, congratulations on all this, I know you've been working hard. He was like, yeah, it was an overnight success, because he's gotten some people that are like, oh man, are you buying followers? Are you doing this? And I'm like, dude, what you don't see is that he's been working his butt off for 2.5 years on his content, and he's just been consistent, and something caught, and it's taken off now. Brief interruption. Hope you're enjoying this conversation with Aaron. Again, he's just such an awesome dude, loves his family, loves getting outdoors, loves helping his brother as they build the company Muley Freaks. That they just do some awesome stuff, go on some great adventures, and share some cool content with you guys. With that being said, if you are interested in the Muley Freak Bino Harness, I have a discount code down below. You can also go find them over on BlackOvis. Yeah, there's a discount over there as well. So either way, whatever color scheme you're looking for, go check them out on both places, grab one and save some money. Also, guys, of course, I want to remind you that I have some amazing opportunities for you guys down below. All of the companies that I work with, everyone from Phorm to BlackOvis to Quattro Stabilizers and everything in between, definitely go check it out if you're in the market for gear as you're gearing up for the hunt season this summer. Maybe you're camping and realizing you're missing out on a few things. Go save some money, and it'll help support the show. It'll help support the partners, but also it'll put money back in your pocket as you're already purchasing the gear. I want you to be able to save some money. It's my little thank you to you as well for supporting the channel. Go check it out, guys. If you have, again, any questions or anything like that, feel free to shoot me an email, shoot me a message over on Instagram. More than happy to help you with that. Now, let's get back to the conversation with Aaron and Muley Freak. Like, you can go back and see all of his stuff that he's done for the last 2 years. And he's celebrating that and sharing that with the people that are his new followers. And so, you know, that's a big thing that people don't recognize, and they just chime into maybe Instagram or Facebook or YouTube once a day at the most, maybe once a week, depending on what your job is and how you tolerate that. And you see little glimpses of the success, and you're like, man, and maybe the jealousy kicks in, and and it's not just an overnight thing. Like you said, it took you about 3 years before you just jumped in and started. But since you went full time with that, how has things changed at the business?
Nothing but for the better and for the good. I mean, you know, it's funny that you brought up your friend that's blown up on Instagram. You know, one of the points that we knew we had to really work on was YouTube. You know, we've had a strong social media for quite a long time, and I think Eric and I have a really good knack for, you know, growing social channels. But one thing we really hadn't put a super great consistent effort in was YouTube. And we're like, man, this seems so impossible, so hard. And it's like, how are we gonna do this? And you know, that was one point we're like, hey, if we're gonna grow this, our YouTube channel's got to be strong. And so, you know, we got our full-time editor Peyton here. He also helps films, and you know, we had confidence in Peyton that he was going to work his butt off and figure this out. And so, especially Eric and Peyton, you know, have just been super consistent, and obviously I help film, and you know, I help and try to do my part, but Eric and Peyton have really been consistent with our YouTube channel for a couple years now, and we're nearing, you know, 300,000 subscribers on YouTube, and you know, getting millions of views every month, and so it's been awesome. But it took consistent work. And there were times where we were, you know, posting videos, and it's like, man, why isn't this was an amazing edit, why isn't it blowing up, right? And we still get that today. We we've posted a couple videos last week, and we're like, man, we put a ton of effort into those videos, and they're really good, but they're just, they're not taking off. And so anyway, it just takes consistency. And, finally, last year at some point, it really clicked on YouTube, and they're like, man, these guys are trying. They put out good content, and the analytics, took over and favored us. So we've been growing like crazy. But like you said, a lot of people don't see all the failures for so long, or all the work that went into learning to, we know what we got to do now because of these 2 or 3 years of work. And now we're where we are today, and we got a long ways to go. But that's just one example, an aspect of going all in. Since going all in, our YouTube channel has really blown up.
That's awesome. And yeah, I couldn't agree with you more, man. It's a lot of consistency, and I definitely don't put out like the quality that a lot of these like people on YouTube and that have full camera equipment and all of that. I just recently bought a camera myself just to figure it out. But it took me, I've been doing this almost 3 years with the podcast before I bought, like I've been doing everything on the iPhone, and the camera does great on the iPhone. But when I personally started recognizing the difference between camera and iPhone camera, I'm like, okay, now I got to start going down that rabbit hole and figure that one out. Right. But it's not that I went in and got this nice microphone and the camera and all of that to start. I proved to myself, 3 years before I upgraded certain equipment, and there's still things I want to upgrade, but it's in the timeline of, okay, once I hit this goal, then that can be the upgrade, and etc. So it's a slow and steady burn, and it's definitely not growing as fast as I think. I'm sure you guys wish it would take off to the moon tonight, right? But it's
100%.
just right. And then you could just hire people and go home and hang out with the family and just do whatever you wanted. But that's not reality. That's not how the majority of things work in this life. So that's really cool to hear. That's really awesome to know that, again, you had that discussion. And I want to go back to a point that you hit on, that you built that communication with your wife from the get-go. That's something that a lot of people, there's been something, my wife sent me something the other day that was like, this guy sitting at the pool, kind of settling in, looks super content and happy, just like enjoying himself. And it's like me, while my friends are complaining about their wives not letting them do this or that, and I'm like, and that's me. And she sent that to me. She's like, that's probably how you feel. And I'm like, yeah, because I'm like, my wife's awesome. Like, we have hard discussions, but we actually talk, and when I want to go do something, I don't just drop it on her last minute unless it was dropped on me last minute. And so that's something that you highlighted, was that you had built that level of communication before just all of a sudden saying, hey babe, I'm doing this, you're just gonna have to deal with it. Like, you were like, hey, this is the direction we're going. I know this is scary. I'm a little concerned about it myself. These are my concerns, but here's what I'm going to do to address those concerns. And you said you have daily check-ins, which that is super impressive. I'm not even that good. Like, I spend time with my wife every day, but we're not like talking about business per se every day. So that is awesome that you have that. And again, I recommend that for anyone that is in a marriage where maybe you feel like your wife's not, quote unquote, letting you do certain things. Like, quit pointing the finger and maybe point it back at yourself and see, how have I communicated that this is a passion of mine, or that I'm still going to take care of the family even though I'm gone hunting for a week, or that I've lined up babysitters so my wife can go to the spa once while I'm gone, or I'm sending like whatever your wife's love language is, what are you doing to address that and fill that bucket? You don't have to be perfect, but again, start today. Start talking to her. And if you've already started, maybe just find a way to freshen that up, that communication, and just be open and honest with your spouse, because that's a big deal. I'm nowhere near perfect. You can ask my wife, but it's a growing progress, and it's awesome that you hit on that, because I think that's key for a lot of people that are successful in business.
Yeah. And again, I just like you, I'm far from perfect, but one thing I think is, if you guys know where you're going and you guys have the same vision of where you're going, because you've communicated, hey, this is what we want for ourselves, this is where we want to go, life is so much easier. So, and she's going to support you you're going to help her and give her what her needs are. And but that only happens if you guys both have the same vision of where you're going, and you guys are great communicators.
Exactly. Yeah, I couldn't agree more, because all the anxieties and stress and everything that you're feeling, she's feeling it, and she's probably feeling it even more because she's not there. Like, you just disappear and work on your business all day, and she's like, what is he even doing? Like,
Yeah.
so yeah, that open communication is key. But that's cool. And then you've got little kids as well. So how do you balance and there's never true, like, zero balance. There's always tilting, right? But how do you find a way to be present and focus on your kids and your family while you're at home, and as they're growing, these little precious moments that they're so young and learning and impressionable? How are you finding ways to balance the business aspect, the hunting aspect, because you guys hunt a lot more than I do, and also the family aspect? How are some ways that you handle that?
So, I mean, one of the, things that my wife especially taught me is this thing right here is I can do a lot on this, right? For a lot of different things, but I can work on, I can do a lot of my work on this phone. And so, I go into the office every day, and when I go home, I still have the choice of continuing to work. And sometimes I have to, but my wife has been really good at saying, "Hey, when you're home, put it away and focus on us, focus on them." And she's had to remind me, multiple times, and I'm way better at it now, than I was in the past. And she's not afraid to, remind me. And but that's one of the biggest ways, that I can, give her and my kids what they need is when I'm home, I'm home. And that's where I'm at. And when I'm working, when I'm at work, she knows I'm going to be working. She doesn't, want to talk all day or anything like that. She lets me work. And so in turn, when I'm home, I need to be off my phone and present. And that, and then, gosh, it's crazy. And you've probably seen this, and Eric and I talk about it all the time. When we go on a week-long hunt, we come back and our kids are like a foot taller. It's like, for me, my kids know all these new words, and my little girl's walking, and it's like, oh, that's crazy. Like, just a couple months ago, I went to Mexico Coos deer hunting in January, came back, and my daughter was taking steps, and now she's walking all over the place. But it's like those things, like, you realize, man, you only get a little bit of time with them, and it goes by fast. And so that's helped me. I see those moments during the day where I'm like, I can't believe how big they're getting. And, that really helps me. Okay, focus on them, be there with them, be present with them. And, another aspect of this balancing, or making hunting season a little bit easier for my wife is, again, communication. We plan out, hey, this is my plan. I have surprised her with hunts in the past, and she doesn't like that. And so I get it. It it's hard on both of us. Like, I can't go on a hunt and film it and hunt and be as successful if I know she's upset at me, back at home. So I'm worrying about that rather than worrying about working really hard and getting the best photo and videos that I can while I'm
Mm-hmm.
on the hunt. And so communication beforehand. I kind of know what times of the year that she wants me to be home. Like, if I mess with Thanksgiving or Christmas or anything like that, that is not a good thing. Or even around there. I've done that in the past. I'll never do it again. And so there's I just try to. We've started doing less hunts, more quality hunts. Um, and so those are all things like I've, and I try not to be gone on the weekends, right? And so I try to finish a hunt and be back by a Saturday, and so I can, at least have a day on the weekend to be home with them. So there's just little things, communication, doing less hunts but more quality hunts, trying to be there on the weekends with my family as much as I can, and then as well as I don't mess with holidays or anything like that. So, but yeah, don't surprise them with, hey, I'm
Yeah.
gonna be gone for 4 days. That's not good.
Yeah. No, that's definitely something that is if you're smart, you only do it once.
Yep.
Because you'll pay for it for sure. And as you should, again,
Yep.
try not to dump things on them last minute if it's not put on you last minute, right? Like just be open.
Yep.
Don't procrastinate it. Don't worry about what she's gonna think. But yeah, those are all really good points. Just the communication, man. That's how you can be, successful. Like you said, when you're up in the mountains, you're not concerned about, oh man, what's she thinking? Is she just stewing at home? And then when I get home, like it's not going to be a joyous reunion. It's going to be now I gotta, lick my wounds and come home. And
Scared
then
for your life, like opening the
exactly,
door and you're like,
yeah,
oh my gosh.
exactly. And it's because there's a lot that goes into that, and there's a lot of when you're in a relationship and you're at home every night, and then all of a sudden you're not for a week, like there's a lot of things that are different, even if maybe you have been working that whole time and it's been busy, and you just get to see her for a couple minutes every day. It's still, those couple minutes are a lot for
Yeah.
anyone, and I know whenever my wife's gone, because she's taking our daughter to dance trips, like they're going this weekend to Disneyland, they've got dance trip out in California, so it's me and the boys, which I absolutely love. And I'm not gonna lie, I don't even really notice until like either I'm driving with the family and she's not there to put my hold my hand while we're driving, or at night when I go to bed and when I lay down and the whole house is quiet and I'm like, oh, it's been a great day, and then I'm like, I don't have anyone to talk to.
Yep.
So it's things like that you don't realize, that you kind of take advantage or take it for granted until it's not there. So I can only imagine. And I know my wife loves taking care of the kids, but it's definitely easier when there's two parents available.
Oh, yeah.
It's
And
100% easier.
yeah, 100%. And when I'm putting both of them to bed and they're screaming and it's just me because she's doing bunco with her friends or family, I'm like, and I don't mind it because I don't do it that often, but I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, I could see how night after night after night of that would be
Mm-hmm.
tough. And Eric, he has 6 kids, and I'm like, I only have 2. I can't imagine Eric's wife, putting 6 kids to bed every night. That's a lot of work.
Yeah, that's when you just blow up a king size air mattress in the living room and just say,
Yep.
everyone lay down. Like
Watch a movie and fall asleep. That's
exactly.
the easy way to do it.
Mom needs a moment. Yeah, exactly. No, I get it. And I couldn't agree more. Like and then there's of course things that there's unknowns, when you're gone and the kid gets sick or they lose a tooth or they get an infection that you couldn't have predicted,
Yep.
There's so many things, right? So many things. But yeah, no, that's awesome. So open communication, and then of course making sure you fill the bucket, do the honey-do list, whatever you want to call it. Make sure you're still dating your spouse as well. Again, find their love language and go with it, because for some people it's quality time, for other people it's words of affirmation. There's a whole list of them.
Yep.
I challenge people to go and find that, but find your wife's or your spouse's, and maybe make some tweaks and changes on how you're acting. Don't go buy your wife a new rifle because maybe she doesn't like to hunt or she doesn't enjoy rifles.
Yeah,
Like,
don't do that.
and you're like, hey, this is the best thing ever because I got this and this, and you nerd out on everything, and she's like, it's a stick.
I don't
That
care.
goes bang. Yeah.
Yep. I don't care.
Exactly. So that's awesome. So let's kind of shift gears here and talk a little bit more about Muley Freak and some things that you guys have coming up this year that maybe you've announced or maybe that you want to talk about. This is going to come out probably May time frame. So if there's nothing that's going to get released before then. So if you guys have anything that's coming out around that time frame that you want to talk about, let's talk about it.
Yeah, so we just dropped a merino piece. We're gonna have some other, so it's a lightweight hooded long sleeve with thumb holes, quarter zip, really good for early season. And so we're getting a performance clothing line. There's not going to be a ton of pieces, just basic layering. We've worn just about everything out there, and so we're taking all aspects that we really liked, we're putting it together in one. for one, simple layering system. So right now we have the lightweight hooded long sleeve and then our smoke puffy. And that just barely went live as well. We're going to come out with some merino socks and a mid layer piece and a couple other things. And so those will be out here in the next few months, along with our Game Changer line. Game Changers are going to be back in stock here very soon. By the time this podcast is out, our Game Changers will be back in stock, along with a couple new colorways, which is super cool. We also have the pistol holster, which will be out. That has been long awaited. It's awesome. It sits on either wing of the Game Changer, and it also can sit on the bottom, and you can flip it either way, so it's ambidextrous. And we'll have a radio pouch slash bear spray pouch that'll be out soon. And then one thing we're really excited about is the Guzzler, which is a little day pack that just clips to your bino harness. So if you're day hunting, archery hunting an antelope or mule deer, and you're out in the desert, you can connect that day pack to it, and you can keep a water bladder in there. You can put arrows in the back. There's a little separate pocket for arrows. You can put your kill kit in there, and then you can just day hunt off of that, snacks, things like that, while you're gone for half a day or a full day. And so that's actually right here. So this will be out by the time this podcast drops. Again, it just connects right there to the Game Changer pack, and that's your arrow sleeve system right there. Has a stretch pocket, and this is where you keep your water and whatnot inside of here. So we're really excited about that. That'll be done soon. We have a bow cover slash sling that'll be done by the time this drops as well. It'll be here and shipping. And so those are a couple of things we're really excited about that'll be done. And yeah, we'll have those and hopefully some bear kills under our belts by the time this goes down. And we have one big trip planned that we're really excited about, Alaska. So that's me, Eric, Tyler, and a couple of other buddies. So we're going to be doing that the 1st of June. And hopefully we get that edited and up on our channel soon. Then on top of that, we still have some hunts we got to get up from last year. So we have a veteran deer hunt, a veteran elk hunt. We have a disabled youth hunt that will still be up. And then Tyler filmed a late season elk hunt, backcountry rifle elk hunt, and that will be up there as well. So yeah, a lot of cool new content we have planned that'll be up on YouTube here soon, along with a bunch of new gear items.
Sweet. No, that's awesome. And yeah, that's really exciting to have all those things coming out and the new, gear and of course the videos that you're going to be putting out here soon as well. So those are a lot of good items, a lot of good thought out pieces that you would want to add to your kit. So that's really cool, and I'm excited about those. With that, talk to people about what do you guys do with veterans and disabled? Walk me through that, how you guys give back to the community.
Yeah, so I'll just give you a really brief kind of where it started. We have a cousin that lives in southern Utah, and he has a really good friend that got in a construction accident and became a quadriplegic. And so we met him back in 2016. I went on a moose hunt with him. The CWMU Association in Utah presented him with a moose tag, and we went and we filmed it. It's up on our YouTube channel, and that's what started the passion for us of giving back to disabled hunters and veteran hunters. On that hunt, we met an awesome guy named Paul. He's our good friend, and he helped us get connected with Hunts for the Brave, which is a veteran organization getting veterans out hunting and fishing and all things outdoors. And so it was shortly after that moose hunt we got connected with them, and we started taking veterans out on mule deer hunts here in northern Utah. And we started filming them. We get them all decked out in Kryptek camo, and we provide them with a bunch of Muley Freak gear, and we go out and we hunt with them. And we've been doing that again since like 2017. And our very first donation rifle we built was for an organization called Chairbound Sportsmen, and they raised $20,000 for a rifle. So we helped them build a rifle with Travis Stevens. They did a raffle for it at the Hunt Expo. This was like 2017 or 16. And we're like, man, this is awesome. And so every year since then, we built a donation rifle for either Chairbound Sportsmen or Hunts for the Brave or Youth Hunter's Voice, which our good friend Corey Rasmussen runs. And we've just been doing it ever since, and it's been awesome. Last year through Youth Hunter's Voice, Eric took an awesome kid out hunting who had cancer in his femur, his femur removed. And that's going to be one of our episodes here soon. The year before that, we took a boy named Connor, 18-year-old, who'd been in a motorcycle accident and was also a paraplegic. And so we were able to take him hunting. He killed a big buck with us. Super cool. And so, yeah, we've been helping those organizations out, since basically the beginning. It's one of our favorite things that we do every single year.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. That's really cool. And I love that you're giving back to the community. That's something that, especially as, people that are veterans can understand that that's something that they're kind of an overlooked population. Unfortunately, again, everyone says thank you for your service, and they, if you're thinking about it or in a conversation about it, we definitely appreciate veterans. But outside of that, people don't think about everything that they go through. They basically get used as a tool for war, which they volunteer for. So yes, that is a thing. They volunteer to go and serve the country, but they get used as tools of war, and then afterwards there's not a lot of resources that are available to help them transition back. And there are resources, but those resources are overwhelmed with the people that are getting out of the military, and they're just understaffed or whatever it may be. I find it hard to believe they don't have the funding because they're willing to send the money elsewhere, but that's a whole nother story. So I love seeing companies like you guys and anyone out there that is giving back to the community, the veteran community or disabled children as well, to be able to go out and enjoy these hunts so that they can still enjoy those passions of theirs. That's a big deal. So definitely appreciate that you guys do that for sure. Is there anything else that you want to highlight as far as what you guys do, with the business, or what you have coming up, or even, any events that you may be doing here in 2024?
So I would say we're just really excited to see what we draw right now. So hopefully we draw some decent tags, and we'll kind of plan out our year from there. But we try to do as many trade shows as we can. Hunt Expo, we go to the Boise Sportsman show. We've toyed around with, there's a new show in Colorado, the Mile High Expo, and that we're thinking about going to. In the past we've gone to archery shoots and set up booths there. So we're still planning out our year on what we're going to do, where we're going to be. So, and hopefully we can get out to some of those and say hello to you guys and hang out. But we definitely will get out to some. We just got to kind of plan, what our year looks like. But between archery shoots and some expos and seeing what we draw, that's kind of, our plans. I mean, right now we're also trying to find a disabled youth hunter for this November for a mule deer hunt. So we're doing that. We're also trying to find our veteran deer hunters for the year. So that takes up some of our time during the off season. And so those are all things we kind of stay busy with as we plan out our falls, but we're excited.
So if people want to, do you guys accept nominations? How do you guys find those people?
Yeah, we do. So, it's through Hunts for the Brave. So if you know a veteran, have them reach out to Hunts for the Brave, or reach out to Hunts for the Brave for them, and talk with those guys. They're awesome. They're great communicators. And just say, hey, I know so-and-so, and they'd love to start getting and being a part of the organization. They do a lot of different stuff. And so, it's not just, big hunts, but, they take guys out clay pigeon shooting and pheasant hunting and fishing and things like that. So it'd be good for them to just get in the organization, get to know people, start doing some things with them, and then that can morph into more and more opportunities. But yes, definitely reach out to Hunts for the Brave. there's through email. I don't know the email off the top of my head, but they can reach out on social media. They're very active. And if they want to reach out to me, Aaron at MuleyFreak.com, I'd be happy to, get them going in the right direction as well. So
Sweet. I love it. That's awesome. Well, I mean we covered the gamut today. We
we
went
did.
over a lot of stuff and I don't know if you've talked about those things on a podcast before, but it's I love showing people that have successful business also how they handle their family life and keep that, because it's not easy. It's really not. And there's never really true balance. There's always going to be something getting more of your attention. Sometimes it's the family, sometimes it's the business, sometimes it's, in your case, business is hunting, but leaving, going on trips, traveling, whatever it is that you need to do to grow your business and get the content that you need. So there's a lot of balancing acts going on and seeing that and highlighting that for people so they can learn and experience their lives better, and enjoy their passions and their hobbies, and hopefully bring their kids along and somehow get their spouses into it as well, if possible. And if not, then, that's fine too. But as long as you're communicating openly. So I definitely appreciate that. I love what you guys are doing. And I do want to ask, I guess, one last question. Where did Muley Freak come from? Where did that name come from?
When Facebook just started, Eric hopped on Facebook and he's like, oh, this kind of sounds cool. He loved mule deer, loved hunting mule deer. We grew up hunting mule deer with my grandpa off a horseback. And so we'd, ride horses and scare stuff out of a canyon and hope that we hit it. But those were the best memories we had with our grandpa, were mule deer hunting. And where we hunted, there wasn't a lot of elk. So it's like, man, if you saw an elk, it was cool to see one, but we were mostly hunting mule deer. And so that's what we grew up doing and we loved. So Eric had a passion for mule deer and he's like, oh, this kind of sounds cool. Muley Freak. And it's kind of funny. He, you didn't take a lot of pictures back then, right? There was, you didn't have cell phones. And so, once he did start taking pictures, it was, stuff around the house, like shooting raccoons and squirrels and whatever else. And he'd post stuff like that. So it was kind of funny. But yeah, that's kind of where it began. Our grandpa gave us a love for mule deer and mule deer hunting. And, so Eric's like, man, Muley Freak, that sounds cool. And that's where she started.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Cool. Sounds good, man. Well, I appreciate your time. I know this is a day that you tend to dedicate more to family and doing other things. So I appreciate you taking the time to hop on the podcast and be here. So with that being said, where can people find you at?
It's Muley Freak _Aaron on Instagram and Aaron Van Woerkom on Facebook. If you want to, send me an email, you can hit me up at aaron@muleyfreak.com. Reach out anytime.
Awesome. Okay, I'll leave those links down below, guys. Again, thanks so much, Aaron, for hopping on here. And as you guys well know, and I always say, get out, live your life, and love it. Hope you guys enjoyed that conversation with Aaron. He's a stud. Again, I absolutely love the fact that he's a father. He's an entrepreneur. He loves the outdoors. He's a man of faith. All of those things definitely hit home for me. And it's just cool to be able to have him on and tell his story and enjoy those things. Go check out their channels. I'm going to leave them down below where you can find Aaron if you want to reach out to him. Also, again, if you're into any of the Muley Freak gear or you want the Muley Freak Bino Harness, the Game Changer, go check it out, guys. The links are down below where you can save some money on all of that gear. I hope to be able to give back to you guys in that way. Last but not least, hope you are having a fantastic spring transitioning into summer and that you guys are getting out and enjoying the sun as much as possible. Also being safe with that. I went over in the last podcast episode of some sun shirts that I appreciate because I don't like getting all greasy with sunscreen. So definitely check out the Phorm sun shirt or the Kryptek sun shirt as well. Both of those work really well in getting you out of the sun. I really, really appreciate it. So hope you have a fantastic rest of your Saturday, of your weekend. Get out, soak up some rays, go enjoy the sun, go shoot your bow, go shoot your rifle, whatever it may be. And last but not least, come join us at Phorm Outdoors Facebook group. We have some amazing things coming up for you guys in that community. See you over there. Have a great one. And of course, get out, live your life, and love it.